Well, good evening and welcome back to Discover Your Intuitive Self. And I am your host, Brenda Reading. Well, tonight I want to talk about if readings in general, whether they're mediumistic readings or tarot readings or psychic readings, any kind of reading, if they have the power to affect people's spiritual path. Okay? People come for readings for various reasons. They want to connect with their spirit loved ones. They want to know about finances or their health or their career. Relationships is a big one. And the future, right? A lot of it's future-based. And as mediums, psychic readers, we try our best to give the sitter information so that they can make their own choices, their own decisions. So the question is, if we as medium or readers give this information to the sitters, how can that affect their paths? Well, let me tell you a story, okay? Another snippet of spirit from Brenda to you. Years ago, and I want to say this was probably 20 years ago, I was working at a Fortune 50 company, and a couple days a week I got the opportunity to work at home, and the other 3 days a week I had to drive into the office. And I had to take my car in for service. And so I took it in, and the dealership was offering me a ride home so that I could go back to my office at home and continue my work. And I thought that was really great. You know, I wasn't going to miss a beat at this, high pressure sales job that I had. So I get into the car with someone I had never met before, and it's a young gentleman, and I mean young. I think he was less than 20 years old. And we get into the car, and it was a short ride back to my house. But as we pull out into the intersection, I notice as we're sitting there, he's beating with his fingers on the wheel, like it's a drum, and he's doing that, and he's kind of, just thinking about whatever. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just talk to him a little bit. So I'm like, hey, do you like your job? Yeah, he says, I really like it. It's okay. It's good. And then I start to notice the energy inside the vehicle. It was the strangest feeling. It was as if the energy, or life force, if you will, was being sucked right out of it. It was the weirdest feeling. And so as we're driving, I'm thinking, I just got into the car with someone I don't even know. And I don't know what kind of driver he is, right? These are thoughts that are floating around my head. And then all of a sudden, as we're sitting at a light, I hear, not in my own voice, in someone else's voice, tell him to put on a seatbelt. And so, like I said, this was like 20 years ago, so I'm just like, okay, what was that? And I look over, and he does not have a seatbelt on. And so I thought, So we're sitting there, and I'm still noticing this energy in the car that felt, if you will, kind of wonky. And I hear the voice again. Tell him to put on his seatbelt. And now, because at this point I don't really know what's happening, I'm arguing with the voice in my head. I'm saying back to it, I am not going to tell him to put on his seatbelt. I am not his mother, right? So we just keep going, and he pulls into my driveway, and I thank him, and he says, you're welcome, and he takes off, and I go in the house, and I finish my work for the day. And then I go get my car later, all right? So the next morning, my mother, as I was blessed to have her do, would come in the morning to put my 3 kids on the bus. And she comes in the house and she says, "Did you see the paper this morning? Did you see that horrible accident with that young man that got killed?" And something just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I knew, it still makes me choke up when I think about it today. I knew in that moment it was him. And I said to my mom, I said, "Don't even tell me. Did this young man work for the Ford dealership in town?" "Why, yes." I'm like, oh, okay. So at this point, I'm completely upset, right? And she doesn't understand why. And I looked in the paper, and the time of his accident was about a half an hour after he left me at my house. So I was just totally overcome. And I felt all of this guilt because I didn't listen to the voice in my head, which I didn't understand at the time what was happening, but I didn't listen. I didn't tell him to put on his seatbelt. And now he's dead. And I felt terrible. I just felt so terrible. And what it did is I closed myself off from all of it. I mean, I just, whatever it was like, I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to know anything. And I just closed myself off from my gifts. And for years, at least 2, and it probably was longer than that, I had this self-imposed guilt on my heart that if I would have said what I needed to say, that maybe he wouldn't be not here anymore. And it also explained to me the energy in the car, you know. And now that I think back on it, I'm just grateful that I wasn't part of his exit plan, you know, because the energy was the strangest thing I'd ever felt. So this is not the end of the story. So like I said, for a long time, I felt very guilty, very upset, and now closed off. Well, a couple of years later, it might have been 3, 4, 2, I can't remember exactly. This tiny little church about 15 minutes from our house, just outside the gates of Lilydale, was having a speaker come to speak. And she was an Indian woman, and her name was White Dove Crow, I believe. And my husband really likes things about Native Americans, and so he thought it might be fun. And I said, well, let's go listen to her speak. Well, so it was evening time, and we went. And the speaker, she was very good and very deep. A lot of what she had to say resonated, you know, within my heart. And she started talking about responsibility. And she encouraged anybody to say anything and, you know, to make a comment. And I chose to talk about this particular incident with this young man. And there was probably not more than 20 people in this tiny church at this event. When I got done talking, another man stood up in the church and he said, "Ma'am, I am a very good friend of the semi-truck driver that hit that young man that morning. He has also been walking around with a lot of guilt on his heart, but a seatbelt would have done absolutely nothing for that young man. He pulled out in front of the semi." What that man did at the church by sharing that information allowed me to release the guilt that I had been carrying around with me for all that time. Now, you think about it. What were the odds of that man being in that church at that moment and me being in that church at that moment and us speaking about the same incident and him having that connection to the truck driver. I don't believe it was an accident. If Spirit wants you doing spiritual work, they will nudge you and help you to get back on your path. At the same time, why I'm telling you this story is because I took on the responsibility of that young man's incident, and that was wrong of me at the time. And I'll tell you why. Because as readers, we give information that we hear, and we can give positive encouragement. And yes, we can give direction based on what Spirit is showing us. But ultimately, it is the personal responsibility that we all have for our own lives and our own spiritual paths that takes priority. We cannot take on our shoulders the decisions that people make. And by me telling you this story, it also tells you that it's a sacred trust between Spirit and you and the sitter, and how Spirit works through us to help other people. So that is what I thought would be important for me to share tonight, because we can't, as readers, we cannot get egos so large that we feel that we are steering and affecting people's life path. We can help them, we can guide them, but we are a vessel for Spirit, and the people that are getting the information, they take what we tell them and they need to use discernment, which is you take it and you sit with it, and just as I have taught you on this show, you feel how it feels to you. Okay? So I just wanted to share that story with you. I think it's a great example of how if Spirit wants you to do the work, Spirit will make sure that you're doing the work. And also that we try to help people, but people have their own free will. So, before I take my caller, Tammy, you're so great for hanging on there. I just want to say that if you would like a more in-depth reading with me, you can go to my website, www.brendareading.com, and you can get more information there to find out how we can set up the time. So, Tammy, how are you doing this evening?
I am fine, thank you.
Great. How can we help you tonight?
Could I just get a general thing, like if anybody's around me or if there's...
Absolutely, Tammy. Just give me a second to step into your energy. Okay, so as I step in with you, Tammy, I feel a gentleman in spirit. He feels like he's on father's side of the family. He feels very much father-like. Okay, his energy would be one of extreme care and wanting to make sure everything flowed smoothly for you. He steps in relatively close to me, so at this point I would suggest for me that I would guess that it would be your father that we're talking about. His father.
Okay, well, my father's still alive.
Then this person he's very father-like. He's very, oh my goodness.
Okay, I was very close to my father-in-law.
Okay, all right. We can do that. All right. So, and father-in-law is on the other side, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like yes. Okay. he would have referred to you as his daughter. He would have skipped the in-law part. Okay?
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And right now I feel like he's smiling ear to ear because I don't know if this is something he would have engaged in. And I think he feels really happy that he's able to step through and connect with you. So,
Okay.
yeah. I'm seeing a collared shirt with him, but I feel like he doesn't want to keep the tie on. All right. It feels like it's open. A couple of buttons are open, and he would have been like, "Oh, I gotta just get this tie off." Right. I feel like he would have had a business side to him where he had to do his work, but there was a very nice. Not that business isn't nice, but what I'm trying to say is there was a very a more. Oh gosh, he could be very fun to be around. Okay. And I'm just okay. So he's showing me 2 young ones. All right, he's showing me 2 young ones with you. So would he have known his grandchildren?
Yes, I had 4 daughters, and he knew all of them. He was very close to all of them.
Okay, so but he's showing me 2 in specific.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So. I'm also wondering if the 2 might have had something to do with his own kids. You know, how many children did he have?
He has 5.
Okay. Well, then I don't know. We're just going to go with the 2 then. Okay.
Is there any messages for them that he?
Well, I just feel like, is there a set of twins in the family that he's talking about? Because he's specifically talking about 2. Like there's 2 really close together.
I do have 2. My 2 youngest daughters are pretty close together, but he was really close. Him and one of my daughters were very close.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to stick on that one point, but okay. So, yeah, I feel like 2 of them are very close together in age. Like it would have been like bump. Okay, like 2 right in a row, and he's talking about them as far as their education, and he's talking about how well they're doing. Okay. And not that the other 2 aren't, but I mean, he's just talking about the first 2. And
okay,
I feel he's talking about them being very competitive, as even though they got along really well, they're so close that they're almost competitive. Okay.
That's
do
true.
Do they share, like, are they athletic? Are they on a team? Like, were they like on baseball? Because I feel like he would have treated them like they could have been tomboys, like he would have he's showing me like a baseball bat and stuff like that. Would he have been outside with them a lot, doing things with them?
Yeah, he did a lot of stuff with them. Yes.
Okay. Because he's showing me like baseball caps and stuff. Like if he would have put them on a little league team, if he could. So, like I don't think it bothered him that they weren't boys, he was,
right.
He was going to teach them all that anyways. So, yeah. But, yeah, he feels very involved. And is mother-in-law still on the earth plane?
Yes.
Okay. Because I feel like he wants you to give her a message from him, if that's possible. Because it feels like things may have been a little strained at one point. Okay, but yeah, do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Okay. All right. But I feel like he wants to tell her to look back. Look back, like turn the pages back and that there were good times, and that he remembers those, and that he focuses on those, and he wants her to focus on those too, because it does feel like there was some straying there towards the end.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, so he wants to give that. He wants to give that information to you for her. Okay.
Okay.
Now, as far as his son, right? Is your husband someone that would welcome a message?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to give it to you. He is giving me Jack Daniels. Okay? He's given me Jack I've just given it to you. That whiskey, right? Jack Daniels whiskey.
Yep.
I feel, does that resonate with your husband?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, okay, so your father-in-law is calling it a highball, if that makes sense. He's saying, he's got the whiskey and he's putting some 7-Up in it, I think. And I think him and his son, it's like he's having a drink with his son. And I feel like he wants to give him a toast. I think he wants to tell him he's proud of him for how he's raising his family. And also, has he just had a promotion recently at work, your husband? Because I just feel like he's talking about a feather in his cap, like he had a feather in his cap. So, meaning that there would have been something that he wasn't around for, to tell him good job. All right. So if that resonates with you, I think your husband will understand what I'm talking about. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
No, just I don't know, anything in my life around me that I'm actually separated from my husband right now. So, but about my general life, anything you see or.
Well, okay, so I'm just going to give this to you. I don't want you to feel like I'm nosing into your personal life, honey, but your father-in-law is still here. And he's like, one more time. One more time. So I feel like he's cheering you guys on for even though you're separated, that maybe one more shot, giving it one more shot. I think that's what he's talking about. So I'll give that to you.
Okay.
Yeah. And okay, so now let's talk about so I feel like I'm going to talk about your career for a minute here.
Okay.
I feel like there's something out there that you've been putting on the back burner, that you would like to get to. And it's like they're showing, even though, with everybody working at home more and all that stuff, it's like they're showing me you going to the closet and taking out your heels. Okay? Like you would have gotten dressed up for work, and like been in the closet for a while, and you're looking at them, and it's like, I think I'm going to get some new shoes. You know what I mean? Like some new heels, some new dress shoes for work. So it feels to me like there's going to be a little change in what you're doing, but it's been a while since you've been in that type of environment. But they're telling me that you're going to look at your shoes and you're going to be like, oh, time to get a new pair. New job, new pair, and and feel good about it. And and I feel like this new change is going to be something that's going to be uplifting for you. And I think it's going to be within the next 3 months because it feels like it's relatively soon. Does that resonate with you, Tammy?
Yeah, I own a store, but I've been wanting to get back into my photography and stuff, so maybe it has something to do with that.
Yeah, because I feel like you would get dressed up for that. You know, like more more flashy, right? For the photography.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not that you don't dress nicely for the store, but if you're you would be getting out your heels.
More casual. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be getting out your heels. You'd be wearing a blazer, right? And
something.
And it's something that brings you joy. So yeah, I think it's coming. So get ready to get back into the photography, and you will do well at it again. Right?
All right.
Yeah, it's not something that you need to improve upon. So, well, that's great. That's great. And good luck to you. Good luck to you, and thank you for calling in. I guess we lost Tammy there. So, anyways, it was interesting reading to me as far as the father-in-law coming in. Now, see how he felt father-like? He stepped right in here by me, and he felt father-like. And so I thought it might be father, but it was father-in-law. So that's why, we have to develop the person, who it is, so that we can talk to the sitter about who it is. So you have a really good week this week, and I will be back next week. And like I said, go to my website, www.brendareading.com, for more information. Have a great week, people.